going to be talking about bailouts in this video, what is to come, a bit of a background, and I'm going to be talking about the political situation going forward after this, so make sure you guys stick around for the full video.
What do you know right now about why this happened? And can you assure Americans that there won't be a ripple effect?
Do you expect other banks to fail, Mr. President?
That it will be a terrible, terrible sight. It might even be a 1929 situation, so you have a chance to have the greatest numbers in history. You're almost there. We're almost back to where we were from the standpoint of the stock market. Think of that. But you'll have a crash like you've never seen before. You put the wrong person in office, you'll see things that you would not have believed are possible.
This right here is continuing to get worse and worse and worse, and will probably continue to get worse. And no, it is not a black pill. I am here to be absolutely real with you guys about what is probably yet to come. Now, guys, I released this video right here. I released it on Monday afternoon. Of course, I made that video on Sunday night, but more and more information has came out that is kind of leading me to believe that we are about to see a massive bailout campaign. Now, you guys obviously saw at the very beginning of the video, we have a president that doesn't answer questions. We have a president that walks out on reporters. Our fearless leader, of course, is doing this because he's got to find a way to shift responsibility and shift blame. Of course, many of us believe that he's probably going to blame the Fed over this, but seeing how you have more and more banks and you have more and more stocks are going down, it makes me think that the Democratic Party, the GOP establishment donor base is about to take a major hit, and we will be discussing it in this video.
President, I have to move on to the next question.
They said the stock market will boom if I'm elected. If he's elected, the stock market will crash.
Okay, let's move on to the next question very quickly.
Look, the idea that the stock market is booming is his only measure of what's happening. Where I come from in Scranton and Claymont, the people don't live off of the stock market. Just in the last three years during this crisis, the billionaires in this country made, according to the Wall Street, $700 billion more dollars. $700 billion more dollars, because that's his only measure. What happens to the ordinary people out there? What happens to them?
Let's talk about what's happening on Capitol Hill. We're going to move on.
401ks are through the roof.
We're going to move on.
Stock are through the roof.
Events that have transpired over the last several days. I want to bring in Shark Tank judge Kevin O'Leary, who is the chairman of O'Leary Ventures and is here to join us. What are you hoping to hear from President Biden?
Well, I think I know what he's going to say. I don't think he'll say it in the way I'm suggesting, but what effectively happened over the weekend is that he nationalized the American banking system. It's no longer a risk. It's no longer private in any sense. It is now backstopped by the government, ultimately the taxpayer. So it doesn't matter how bad you are as a bank manager, and a good example is what happened in Silicon Valley Bank. That was a combination of a negligent board of directors and idiot management. That's a very powerful cocktail when put together, and it completely wiped out that bank. And that's what should have happened. And we knew before the weekend started that every account with $250,000 or less was insured, and anything beyond that, which is generally business accounts or sophisticated investors, was not. But that's all changed. Now you have no risk in any bank anytime, and you as the taxpayer bear that going forward.
You were forewarned about this. Now, guys, first and foremost, would have, could have, should have just does not help, okay? And right now the president is also blaming the previous administration for what is going on. Joe, you've been in office for over 2 years. Pete Buttigieg, you've been in office as transportation secretary for over 2 years. I mean, guys, let this sink in really quick. He is about to bail out his own donor class, because that is exactly what Silicon Valley Bank did, what a lot of these big banks have been doing. They've been donating to Democrats a lot more and establishment GOP for a very long time. You're about to bail them out, but yet you did not want to even lift a finger when it came to the topic of East Palestine, Ohio, and the ramifications that just may come as a result of this. Let that stuff sink in. That is who we have got running the country. Now, many people, of course, believe that Barack Hussein Obama is actually running the country from behind the curtains. I believe what's really going on, now that I think about it, is that Obama definitely has an influence in there, but I think it's exactly what he had said before. Don't underestimate Joe's ability to screw things up. I think that Obama was trying to tell you that Joe would be in office one way or another, kind of like foreshadowing. And I think he was telling people that even with the control that I have over him, he would still find ways to screw things up. Of course, we are seeing that today. Now, you're seeing bank runs. You're hearing about that. You're hearing about a lot of people talk about gold, stuff like that. I'm not going to be doing that in that video because I'm not an actual economist. But what I am is I'm somebody who went through the 2008 recession or the 2008 crash. And let's just go ahead and be honest. The sequel is typically a lot worse than the original. Now, we haven't gotten to the massive levels of recession just yet. But you've got a president right now who loves to, well, I'll just roll this and then come back on the other side and explain to you guys why it is completely bunk.
Again. During the Obama-Biden administration, we put in place tough requirements on banks like Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank, including the Dodd-Frank law to make sure that the crisis we saw in 2008 would not happen again. Unfortunately, the last administration rolled back some of these requirements. I'm going to ask Congress and the banking regulators to strengthen the rules for banks to make it less likely this kind of bank failure would happen again, and to protect American jobs and small businesses. Look, the bottom line is this. Americans can rest assured that our banking system is safe. Your deposits are safe. Let me also assure you we will not stop at this. We'll do whatever is needed. On top of all that, let's also take a look at a moment to put the situation in a broader context. We've made strong economic progress in the past 2 years. We've created more than 12 million new jobs.
Now, as I mentioned in the previous video, and you guys saw that, here he is blaming the previous administration for everything that is going wrong in the world, which was very, very odd because Trump's been out of office for over 2 years. And of course, Trump did call this. I played that clip earlier. The thing you have to understand is this right here. Of quote unquote 12 million jobs that were created, roughly 2/3 of those jobs came by way of people going back to work after the pandemic. Probably shouldn't even said pandemic because the video will probably get a label on it now. But the fact of the matter is this right here. About 2/3 of those jobs came by way of that, and the rest of those jobs have came by way of, part-time jobs, filling out for a second job, all that type of stuff there, things to cover inflation, things to kind of make up for the money lost due to the inflation, due to the amount of money that's being spent on gas. I mean, dude, the price of gas a month ago was $2.98 a gallon. Then 2 weeks later it was $3.13, and right now it's $3.22. Yesterday it was actually $3.29. And now you're saying that he's approved this whole Alaska pipeline ordeal where he's going to actually allow the pipeline to get built. And I keep thinking to myself, why are you doing that now? Why are you doing that now? These are all things to try to re-secure some form of election. You see, Joe knew that he screwed things up. He made things 10 times worse. And now they're going out of their way to say, look, we fixed it. This is how these people operate. They will blow something up. They will tear it up, then come back, somewhat semi-fix it, and then turn right back around and say that they fixed the problem. Fact of the matter is that last year we had 3 consecutive quarters of negative growth, okay? We had negative growth in 3 consecutive quarters. We have inflation through the roof. Just about everything is damn near doubled in price. You tell us that 12 million jobs were created, but yet 2/3 of those jobs were people coming back home from pandemics. You are now telling us that you want the regulations put back on, the regulations that were pulled under the Trump administration, which, by the way, putting more regulations on this problem is on this topic, it's just going to make matters 10 times worse than what they already are. If anything, at this moment in time, you need to be coming up with something else besides the possibility of deregulating and bailouts. If you really and truly want to piss the American people off at this moment in time, do a friggin' bailout. Let people see that you are simply bailing out your frickin' donors. Maybe people figured this out back in 2012, and maybe that there's a real reason why Occupy Wall Street occurred. The corruption is obviously a problem, and it needs to be fixed. Fact of the matter is that, Joe, this right here is yours. You own this problem, and now the American people can see right through it. Fact of the matter is that the reality is not exactly what you're saying. Now, guys, with that there being said, I'm going to go ahead and close this video out by telling you what's probably going to happen and telling you guys exactly why this may be a situation of being caught between two stools. The term caught between two stools is a reference to Adolf Hitler. Let me explain. Now, I know what you're probably thinking to yourself, what does this have to do with the current economy? What has this got to do with what's going on? Well, let me go ahead and kind of break it down for you. In 1940, Hitler had just invaded France. He was basically fighting all over Europe, and of course, he was fighting with England. The Battle of Dunkirk had occurred roughly right around that same time, and Hitler, for whatever reason, while fighting the Battle of Britain, got the harebrained scheme, got the idea to invade Russia. Of course, Operation Barbarossa would occur in June of 1941. It was originally supposed to occur, I think, in April, but he got delayed because he was still carrying Mussolini. by the way, I'm just giving you guys just good old-fashioned military history rundown. Okay, if I get something wrong, please leave it in the comment section. I mean, like I said, I've even considered doing a lot more military history takes because I am a bit of a history buff myself on a short time of prepping. But of course, you want to make sure you got your P's and Q's, and you want to make sure your video essays are tight. The thing is this right here. We called it caught between two stools because the British had not yet been defeated. Okay. Now, of course, those in the Reichstag, those in the Reich would actually say that Hitler never really and truly wanted to destroy Britain. He just wanted to destroy their military so that way he could reestablish commerce, beat them in the field. That's basically what he wanted to do. However, he never secured the victory against the British, and he decided to invade the Russians. The next thing you know, he's got the North Africa front. He's fighting in Italy. He's fighting in southeastern Europe. He's fighting in northern Europe, where he's got troops in northern Europe and Scandinavia near Finland, whom, by the way, had actually fought the Russians to a stalemate in 1940 in the Winter War. And, of course, he's fighting in England, Battle of Britain. So he chooses to extend his lines out a lot more. Okay, so we're donating crap loads of money while we are already under duress, military weapons. We're donating that to Ukraine, only to find out that Ukraine now is losing that war. They're about to attack the Crimea, and they're going to get absolutely slaughtered in that attack. I'm just being realistic with you. The avenues of attack just aren't there. You're losing men, and you're running out of ammunition, and you don't really have any supplies. The U.S. supplies that are coming to you are going to be coming to you at a much, much later date, and by the time they get there, the war could actually be over with. What you should have done was you should have allowed NATO to take care of that, or you should have allowed Europe to take care of it. It's actually their war. Maybe they should be the ones to take care of it. Maybe they should be the lead effort on that. At the same time, you're draining your strategic oil reserve. So you've got this issue at home where you've got the possibility of a bad economy, you've got inflation. That right there is 1 to 2 problems right there. Russia's a third problem. Supplying Ukraine is the fourth problem. And now you've got this whole issue where you don't have any gas and you're draining your own oil reserves. So that's 5 separate problems right there. Inflation, gas, overseas conflict. And of course, you've got more people saying that you, quite frankly, need to be going back to, you need to be doing a little bit more when it comes on the scale of foreign policy around the world. So you've got all these things going on. You're basically caught between two stools. You're trying to balance different things. Actually, it's probably more like 5 or 6 stools, but still, though, you're being caught. So what do? Well, Biden has never been known for being smart. If you actually look at his political career, it is mired, and I mean it is mired in just utter stupidity. And now we're finding out more and more corruption. You add the corruption, and then you add this right here, and you add what I proved to you guys in the previous video, that this bank donates heavily to Democrats, and they donated heavily to Joe Biden. You're going to find out that all of these banks have been donating to him. So what do? You bail out the banks. Okay, you bail out the banks. Next thing you know, you've got Real American News, you've got OANN, you've got InfoWars, you got all the conservative networks here on YouTube, which, by the way, they completely ignore. You got Fox News, even though they're an establishment, they're establishment. They're going to be out there, and they're going to be reporting. This also includes Newsmax as well. They're going to be recording the actual overall truth that these banks were actually your biggest donors. So basically what you did was you bailed out the elites. That's not going to look good to the radical left elements of your party, which you needed to have as boots on the ground to get you over in 2024. They're going to see that the Democratic Party isn't any better than what the hell the Republicans are. So what are they going to do? They're going to more than likely stay home. Same exact thing with some moderates, and of course, it's only going to intensify the vote on the other side against you. Okay, so option B. You don't do any bailouts. You decide to regulate the literal hell out of the banks. What's that going to do? That's going to cut off money lending. It's going to obviously put these banks in much, much worse positions. Next thing you know, the economy is going to slowly but surely just fizzle out. Next thing you know, you got yourself a depression. Okay, there you go. Now you lost the moderates. You lost the radical leftists. Of course, some of them will still vote for you, but you lost all the moderates. So either way, you're looking at losing anywhere between 7 to possibly 15 million people right off the bat. It's just going to say hell with you and not vote next election. By the way, you would need those votes come the following election against Trump or DeSantis. I personally think it's going to be Donald Trump. And I'll even tell you right now the biggest reason why I'm so bullish on Trump now that we're already so far into this entire ordeal. So then, what do? Well, you don't bail them out at all. You don't even regulate or nothing. So what do the banks do? What do? They probably feel like they've been punished. So next thing you know, you've got less money to borrow and you've got less donor money to run your campaign. Or they'll just choose to give that money to someone like, say, Kamala or Bernie, which, by the way, will look worse for Bernie because apparently he's not supposed to be taking billionaire money, even though we all know that Bernie Sanders is actually a cuck and not even really and truly an actual socialist. I've proven that to you guys on multiple occasions. So what the hell ends up happening? What happens is that you're simply caught between 5 or 6 stools. You've got nowhere to go. Fact of the matter is that this administration is dead, officially. As a matter of fact, I think this establishment is dead, as in the GOP and Democrat liberal establishment. I believe that they're both gone. And this right here is the reason why I'm so bullish on Trump 24. I mean, imagine a president that can only serve one term. Imagine that president being somebody who was jilted by the establishment, worked with the establishment. As a matter of fact, and I've said before, there are multiple factions in the establishment. I brought that up in this video here. I want you to imagine for a second, what can that president do in 2024, 2026, and 2028 before he leaves office? He could primary out just about every damn ass Republican that he wants that's up for re-election. He can primary all the rhinos out and actually fix the problem. That would actually take down the deep state. That's the main reason why I'm so bullish on Trump 2024. Also, something else too about that one term. Wouldn't this country need desperate reform after a stock market crash, which is exactly what we're looking at? I mean, first the banks go, next thing you know, then the money goes. The next thing you know, the stocks go. People start looking at other currencies. That right there is probably what's about to happen. And like I said before, I'm not going to get too much into that until I got some more information. But it looks like that is what is about to occur. So I'm just out here prepping you guys for things to come. So make sure you guys keep food in your house. Make sure you guys keep everything good to go. Make sure you guys stock up, spend wisely, and we'll get through this together. Guys, John Claymore here. If you like this content, hit the like button, subscribe, share the video out in the comment section. I'd love to get you guys' thoughts on this, and I'll see you guys later.